One thing that I absolutely cannot stand is when leaders in the church try to use Old Testament leaders like David, Solomon, Joseph to make a case for why God wants to see us prosper financially. Because us as Christians of today are not living under the Old Testament laws. We are living within the new covenant. God is all about refining our character more than he is all about making us prosperous. What all of these three men have in common is that they were all focused on being faithful more than successful, obedient more than prosperous. And that is exactly why God prospered them, because that was not their prayers. That was not their focus. A lot of us as Christians are focusing our lives around trying to be prosperous. All of our prayers are consumed by God taking us to a certain place, helping us to reach our career goals, helping us to get on certain platforms, helping our businesses to flourish. When we become ambitious to be prosperous, it becomes a distraction. Our hearts and our minds are pulled away from God, and the Bible warns us of this. And this is why us focusing on prosperity is one of the church's greatest deceptions. A lot of false leaders will use these men as examples to try to tell you why God wants to make you prosperous. And we have itching ears. What this does internally is like what tarot cards or fortune tellers, psychics do to us. They get us to focus on the future life that we want or the prosperity that we want more than God. But as we move into the New Testament and we think about the Pauls who gave up his whole life, when we think about the Peters who gave up being a fisherman, all of the disciples, their families to walk with Jesus, they were focused on eternity and the future glory. They were being persecuted, mocked, and thrown in jail. They were not focusing on the good life. They were focusing on eternal riches. The rich young ruler was prosperous, but Jesus was trying to teach him, stop focusing on what you have. Same with Zacchaeus, who ended up giving up half his wealth. In the New Testament, none of us are kings and queens, and God is constantly asking us to give up things. We constantly see this pattern within the New Testament of not very many people being called to be like the Davids and the Solomons and the Josephs. In fact, they're being called to the very opposite, which is to lower themselves just like Jesus. Not being raised or lifted up unless it's on the cross. Become servants, not kings and queens, to give up their prosperous lives. That is because us under the new covenant, us as American Christians, we have so many unhealthy attachments. We tie our identity to our level of prosperity. We are all about the comforts of life. And consequently, we've lost a pure focus on God that allows him to refine us. Most of us as Christians of this age just want Jesus to do something for us. We don't want to lay our lives down. We're not desperate to grow internally. And I'm preaching to myself right now, because 5 or 6 years ago, so many of the things that God is calling me to within this season of my life, I would not have been willing to do because it doesn't profit me financially. This is merely just a warning to all of us. Our walk with God is not about being financially prosperous. It's about living in his will and his purpose, so much so that you absolutely learn to find contentment in what you already have and where you already are. Don't let these false leaders lie to you. God is trying to bless you with eternity, not prosperity.